All the touchdowns uploaded on Facebook at this date in touchdown history. Today, November 7th. For the actual videos with actual audio, go to Facebook for descriptions and the audio. We begin in 1955. It's the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. Charlie Connerly is under center. He's going to hand off to Frank Gifford, and the future voice of Monday Night Football jumps a deep pass to Kyle Rote 71 yards later, and the Giants are in the end zone. They would go on to lose the game to Cleveland. Moving on to 1965, it's Michigan and Illinois. Michigan has the ball when Wally Gabler throws to Carl Ward, and it's a touchdown for Michigan. 1995, Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. First quarter action. Emmitt Smith takes the handoff, and one of the reasons why he's one of the greatest of all time, he simply outruns the Eagles 39 yards into the end zone. But that's not the most famous Monday Night Football game played on November 7th in a milestone anniversary. We'll get to that in just a second. As we look at the Cowboys celebrating this touchdown, they would go on to win this game against the Eagles. They would have a more famous game later in the year where that man, Barry Switzer, would make a fourth down decision that would leave people puzzled. Emmitt Smith, again, one of the greatest of all time. We look at the replay as Troy Aikman simply hands off to Smith. Smith cuts one way, cuts the other. He's touched a little bit by a couple Eagles there, but once he gets past that line, those defenders, he's gone. Eric Allen catches him at the end. Actually, no, it's 95. That's not Eric Allen. We move on to 2000. I said the more famous Monday Night Football game, and we're going to look at the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. I can't personally believe that this is the 25th anniversary of this game. My, how time has flown as Frank Winters lines up under center. We're 11:40 into overtime. 43 yards from the end zone. Brett Favre is under center. He drops back to pass, throws up a prayer, and Chris Dishman should have picked it off, but somehow it does not touch the ground. The camera's even confused as Antonio Freeman saves the ball, gets up, runs it in the end zone, and you hear Al Michaels' famous line, "He did what?" Again, if you want to hear the actual Al Michaels line, go to Facebook, this date in touchdown history, to see Al Michaels say, "He did what?" Even the referee is smiling on that play. An overtime walk-off touchdown. Brett Favre to Antonio Freeman, 43 yards. I remember watching this game and just marveling at how, first of all, Dishman tips it to Freeman's shoulder. Freeman somehow gets his right hand up to save the ball from hitting. And look at Dishman. He is lamenting the fact that he missed an interception. A couple Vikings are down there to see that the ball was still alive. And Brett Favre, another example of the gunslinger mentality as he throws off his back foot, backpedaling. Not the kind of pass you're taught. Antonio Freeman did an amazing job at concentrating, getting the ball, keeping it off the ground. There's luck, there's concentration, some skill, and of course, Chris Dishman not paying attention to the rest of the play as he thought he had dropped a potential interception that could have given Minnesota the ball in the sudden death overtime. Back in the year 2000, it was the first quarter that won, no matter what. So the fact that Green Bay scores here, Minnesota does not get a chance at the ball, and Packer head coach Fritz Shurmur, he's kind of confused as to what happens, but then he starts celebrating as Green Bay wins this Week 10 battle on Monday Night Football. Just another example of how you play to the whistle. As you see, Freeman gets up. He's still playing. And the rest of the Vikings are just not close to him. Donald Driver chasing him into the end zone. Touchdown Green Bay. They go on to win 26-20. Another look at it from another angle on the live. This is during the replay review. And again, as we saw with the Monday or the Midnight Miracle in the Jets and Dolphins game a couple weeks before this, replay review was much slower in the year 2000 than it is in 2025. You had to sit through, with several clear angles showing that Driver did indeed keep the ball off the ground. He was not touched while down, gets up, scores, performs a Lambeau leap, and here referee Dick Hantak is announcing that it is indeed a touchdown. We move on to 2005, and an editor's pick. Chris picks this walk-off touchdown from Larry Johnson on 4th and goal. Instead of kicking the field goal to tie the Raiders with 5 seconds left, Dick Vermeil rolls the dice, and Larry Johnson scores, leaping into the end zone from 1 yard out. I remember watching this game. And then, of course, back then the rules stated even with the clock expired, you still had to kick the extra point. Famously, in 1998, the Bills took their team off the field once, and the Patriots actually ran in a 2-point conversion. Enough Raiders did show up to defend this extra point, including Rich Gannon, the starting quarterback of the Raiders, playing on the extra point block team, as the Kansas City Chiefs walk off the victory over the Oakland Raiders. Another look at it from in the end zone. Larry Johnson leaping into the end zone. What a gamble, because if they don't score, if Oakland's able to stop them, Oakland will win the game. Clock runs out. Game's over. Tony Gonzalez with the celebration there, but Larry Johnson is able to get the ball into the end zone, and nobody's happier than Dick Vermeil, who always wore his emotions on his sleeve as a head coach in the NFL with the Eagles, Rams, and Chiefs. And Norv Turner of the Oakland Raiders, not the same, no emotion shown from him. And the Raiders are upset as they lose this 2005 game again. An editor's choice from Chris. He wants to show this one because the official channel choice for 2005 still yet to come. Another look at Larry Johnson's touchdown. When they're walk-offs, they get a lot of replay. The official choice here, Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Brett Favre is blitzed. He fumbles the ball, and Troy Polamalu picks it up. He's going to get a key block right here, sort of. Goes 77 yards with the hair flowing behind him for the Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown in the second quarter to take a 13-3 lead over Green Bay. Brett Favre, as we saw in the 2000 game, sometimes he throws off the wrong foot, and sometimes he fumbles the ball or makes bad decisions. Polamalu actually misses the sack, but is there to pick up Johnny on the spot, picks up the fumble. The guy who gets the sack and forced fumble, number 20, attempts to throw a block. It does enough. It springs Polamalu and his hair all the way into the end zone. Pittsburgh would go on to win. We move into 2015, and we got San Jose State and Cleveland Wallace picking off the pass, going 61 yards. I'm going to pause this real quick so I can finish talking about that touchdown. That upload was for Pigskin Glory broadcaster Charles, who is an alumni of San Jose State. But unfortunately, San Jose State lost the game to BYU, and that's the best quality video, the only quality video I could find of that Cleveland Wallace 61-yard pick six. It's clipped. A lot of the highlights that do exist are broadcast from the BYU point of view. We move on to the year 2020. BYU again and Boise State. This time BYU is going to come up with a highlight. Tyler Algier goes 86 yards. I really contemplated doing a second touchdown from this game, as current Buffalo Bill Khalil Shakir scored 2 touchdowns later in the game. But I just didn't think, it was worth it. Tyler Algier, the 86-yard run, and just burst right through Boise. BYU would go on to blow out Boise State on this night. This prime time football game between the Mountain West rivals, Brigham Young and Boise State. Boise State in the black, Brigham Young in the white. So is it good versus evil? I don't know. I tend to root for Boise State, so I probably would not have been happy about that touchdown. And then 2024, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan. The Broncos had just tied the game at 21. So Cam Thompson's going to have something to say about that for the Huskies, as he breaks inside, cuts back outside, gets a block here, and finishes a 91-yard kickoff return. Northern Illinois would go on to win the game. So tell me in the comments, what is your favorite touchdown that happened on this day, November 7th, through the years from 1955 all the way up until last year, 2024. And one more look at Cam Thompson going in for the touchdown for Northern Illinois on that Wednesday night game in 2024.